Hey everyone, it's your girl Layla. Welcome back to my channel.
Through the wastelands, through the highways, till my shadow turns to sun rays, and on we'll go.
In today's video, I am going to be doing a story time. Finally, I feel like I've been just putting this off for a while because I was going to film this last August, like last year in August. But I feel like I just wanted to get my emotions in check, my feelings in check. I just wanted to think about posting this video before actually posting this video, if that makes sense. This is going to be on my experience with horrible tenants. So if you're not already subscribed, please go ahead, click the subscribe button below. I upload 3 times a week, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday. So let's just get started. I have an insane amount of documentation in paper form as well as electronically based on this whole situation. So I have text messages from the very beginning. I still have them on my phone because I have switched phones since 2018, but I transferred all my text messages to my current phone. So I have them on my phone. I have them backed up onto Dropbox. I have them on my computer. Also, I have them printed because I've already dealt with this. It's already gone through the court system and everything. And I still haven't gotten my money back. It's been almost a year later. I haven't seen a dime from this lady or her fiance, boyfriend, whatever you want to call him. I'm just going to start from the beginning. If you guys haven't seen the house tour from last year, it's like, I'll leave it in the description or the pinned comment below. It's called like Calgary's Worst Tenant or something like that, and I go through how they completely trashed my rental place, like completely trashed it. It was so bad, and it took like a week and a half to clean. That doesn't include all of like the damages and the stuff that's still not working right now because she broke a $1,500 dishwasher. I wasn't able to do a before and after tour because my best friend actually moved into that rental house probably like 3 weeks after that happened. This is just my experience with these horrible tenants. So just really briefly, I'll start from the beginning. My mom and I have a rental house in the city. It used to be the house that we lived in for a really long time, but when I was 24, I wanted to purchase my own house. I wanted to get a condo, but my mom was like, no, let's just both put our money together, get a big house together, and we can put the other house for rent. So yes, I bought a house with my mom when I was 24. Honestly, we had good tenants. We had 2 tenants that were really amazing, that took care of the place. And well, the first one, she had holes in the walls because like she punched holes in the walls and stuff like that. But there was only like, I think 2 holes in the walls, and then just very little damage. Second tenant was just perfect. They had friends that had a cleaning business, so they were able to leave the place completely spotless, damage-free, all of that stuff. So the third tenant, this whole thing took place in 2018. So the really good tenants moved out. I think it was like a little bit before May Long. So May Long for me, if you guys didn't know, except for this year I didn't go, but I always go back home. I go back to my hometown and I take time off work to do that every year. That was in the midst of my tenants moving out and everything. And I think when I came back, I did the walkthrough and all of that stuff, and then the place was empty all of June. They kind of moved out in the middle. They moved out in the middle of the month, so it was very difficult to find tenants like in 2 weeks, you know, because you do need to show the house a little bit. You need to take pictures for ads. You need to put ads up. You need to respond. You need to organize. Renting a house and being a landlord/landlady is just not. It's not an easy thing. You can't just show it to one person and expect them to sign a lease for 2 years. Like, it just doesn't work like that. So when I came back from BC, I tried my hardest. I think when I was in BC, I put up an ad on Facebook Marketplace. I had already had the pictures, posted the ads, got a bunch of replies, replied to people, and a lot of people just don't show up. Like, they'll make an appointment to view the place and then you'll go and they just won't come. So I had that happen to me a lot. And this just went on for a couple weeks, and I was running out of vacation days at work. I was running out of like being able to find the time to show people the house. So I asked my dad for some help. I was like, are you able to show it? Are you able to start showing it if I can't find anybody by, I think it was like June 15th or something like that. It was like the middle of June. The house had been empty for a month. And I was like, okay, you're not doing anything while I'm at work. Can you please just start showing the house and then just giving me feedback and stuff like that? He was like, yeah, as long as you pay for my gas, I will do that. I'm like, okay. About June 15th, so it had been empty for a month, and we haven't been able to find tenants through Facebook Marketplace. So my mom suggested, let's go on this website called Rent Faster. Rent Faster is a paid service. So you posting the ad on there costs $30. So I just was thinking, you know, maybe it's better at screening people because you can see their like profiles, you can see just like a bunch of their information. It's like more detailed than say Kijiji or Facebook Marketplace where you can't view people's profiles or anything like that. It's just a little bit more detailed and specifically for people looking for rental properties. So I just kind of thought, you know, since it's a paid service, we're gonna have better luck on there. And at first we didn't. The first couple of days I was like, this thing is a scam. I've gotten no replies. Eventually I started getting replies. This horrible tenant, I'm gonna call her Georgina, and I'm gonna call her boyfriend slash live-in slash fiance, I don't know what he is, I'm gonna call him Maurice. Their names are very specific because it's about as close as I can get to their real names. So Georgina and Maurice. Georgina had messaged me on Rent Faster and she was like, can I view your property around this date and stuff. It was around Father's Day. I was actually showing it on Father's Day. It was like a Sunday. I was showing it, is Father's Day always on the Sunday? I think it is. Anyways, it was on Father's Day. I was showing it to like 3 different people that day. So I was like, can I schedule you in for 4:30 because I'm showing the house to a bunch of people. I don't live in the city, so it's a lot easier for me to show you the house and show all of these other people the house on this specific day. She had told me no because it's Father's Day and she wanted to take Maurice and her kids to church and have dinner and all of that stuff. And I was like, oh, okay, that's good. A family that goes to church, that's already like a good sign, I guess, because like, you know, I feel like, I don't know, I'm not that religious, but I feel like people that go to church are a little bit more responsible. And I don't know, that was kind of like my mindset. I was like, okay, good. There are good people that go to church on Sunday. And you know, they're probably going to be good tenants. So I was like, can I reschedule you for tomorrow? Unfortunately, I'm unable to show you the house. My dad's going to have to show it to you because I'll be at work. And she was like, okay, that's fine. So my dad waited for her and he waited for an hour. I gave him her contact information. Say I booked her for like 4:30 to see the house or something like that. My dad had waited till 5 and then he called her and she was like, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm on my way. And it was like closer to 5:30. He was about to leave because why would you wait an hour to show somebody the house when their appointment was like, you know, at 4:30 and it's already 5:30. So he's about to leave and he sees the bus pull up. He sees this lady and her daughter get off the bus and start looking at like addresses, you know, they start walking toward the house. So he was like, oh, maybe it's her. So it was her. She was an hour late for viewing the house, but I guess they had a really good conversation and he really liked her. And when I had asked him later on, I was like, oh, were you able to show the house today? How did it go? Blah, blah, blah. He's like, I found your tenants. They're perfect. They're so nice. They have good jobs. Blah, 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 blah. Like, they're very good people. They're so nice. Just like raved about them. I do want to meet them, of course, but I guess, I mean, I trust your judgment. I guess they're good people. Who knows? I don't know. At least it's somebody to rent the house, right? At least it's not going to be sitting empty for another 2 months or something like that. Sure, I'll give them a chance. So my dad had contacted her again and was like, can I book you for like a house walkthrough? And, you know, you could sign the lease and all of that stuff. So she was like, okay. And I had waited until it was my day off work, but my mom had to work in the afternoon. So I was like, okay, we can schedule it and I can drive my mom to work, blah, blah, blah. It's gonna be perfect. So I think we scheduled her around 2 o'clock, 1:30 or 2 o'clock to do the walkthrough and to do the checklist and to do the lease signing and all of that stuff. It was like 2 o'clock. She wasn't there. I was like, okay, whatever, she's late. It's fine. I'm kind of a late person. In the back of my mind, I was like, oh, I hope that she's not like this with the rent. But I'm a late person too. Like, I'm always late for everything. I was just like, am I ever late to pay the mortgage? No. Like, it's not like I have priorities basically. So I'm late for certain things, but paying my bills and all of that stuff, I'm not late for that type of thing, because those things are important to me, right? But I was just thinking, oh yeah, maybe she's just running late. It's fine, whatever. But in the back of my mind, I just thought that. I was like, I just really hope she's not late on the rent. Oh my God. Okay, it's like 2:15 at this point. My mom's kind of like, okay, I have to leave for work in 15 minutes. And I was like, no, you know, we're not like outside the city right now. You can leave by 2:45, it'll be fine. She's like, okay. I'm like, I can get you there. I can get you to work in like 15 minutes. It's all good. So she's like, okay, we can wait a little bit longer. By 2:25, we were like, this is cutting it a little bit close. I have her number, I call her, she doesn't answer. My dad calls her, she answers, and she's like, yeah, like I'm in downtown, I'm on my way, I'm on the train. So we're like, downtown, like, why didn't you leave earlier? Why are you leaving your house at 2 when your appointment is at 2? Like, it didn't make sense. Oh, okay, well, I need to do this right now so I can take my mom to work. Well, we're about to leave because I'm just like, okay, it's been 45 minutes already. Like, I have to get my mom to work now. The bus pulls up, of course, right when I was leaving the house. The bus stop is literally like 2 houses down. So I see the bus coming. I'm like, oh my God, I bet you she's on this bus. Of course she's on this bus. She comes in with her daughter. We do the walkthrough. She's like, she points out some things like, you're missing the curtains. And my mom is like, yeah, we're washing them for you, so they'll be fresh and clean when you move in. Fast forward, my mom was 15 minutes late for work and she was not happy about it, but we had gone through the walkthrough, the lease signing. She seemed like a nice person. She seemed like I could trust her, although she did ask me a weird question. She was like, am I your first tenant? And I said, no, you're my third. And she said, okay, would I be able to sign a 5-year lease with you? And I was like, hell no. not in those words, but I was like, no, we're only looking for a year lease. And by the time the year is up, if we feel like you're a good tenant, then we will, you know, renew the lease as needed. We won't do a 5-year lease up front. Like, who asked that? So she's like, okay, just because I really hate moving. And I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever. So now let's get into the text messages. I'm not gonna read through all of these because it's literally like 87 pages of text messages, but I'm gonna get through the juicy bits. I really hope you guys have like a drink, a popsicle, some ice cream, some popcorn, something, because I feel like this video is just gonna be super long. It just is. And I'm not trying to go like off topic and off on a tangent, but I just feel like this story is just really long, because if you look at how many papers is in this is all text messages and bank records. So like every month when she would send the rent every month, not every month, but you know, the times that she would pay rent, there's bank records in here. The first part of this, so this was June 26th, 2018. I said, hey Georgina, this is Layla. I have copied the lease and checklist. Can we possibly meet up tomorrow? And she basically said no because she was busy, but she said, can I send you the $900 today and the rest of the rent when we get paid on the 1st? Now the 1st was the 1st of July. If you guys know what the 1st of July is in Canada, it is Canada Day. So you would, if you were waiting for any kind of payment, if you had a really good job, anything like that, you would not be getting paid on the 1st. You would be getting paid before. You'd be getting paid on the 31st because the next day is a holiday. So at my work, if our payday falls, our paydays are on a Wednesday. So if, say, Christmas or something is on a Wednesday, we would get paid on Tuesday. So we would always get paid sooner. So I was kind of like, okay, yeah, that's fine. The $900 was supposed to be the damage deposit, not the rent. Like the rent was $1,500 and the damage deposit was $900. So the $900 I thought she was talking about was the damage deposit, because that's how much the damage deposit was. And normally when you do the walkthrough and stuff like that, the tenant usually gives you the damage deposit right away or when they get home. And she had promised me that when she gets paid, she would send the $900, the damage deposit, right away when I saw her in person. So the $900 I thought she was referring to was the damage deposit, but it was actually the rent. And I said, yes, no worries. and then I gave her my email address to send it to. So keep in mind, I let them move in a few days early because I knew the holiday was gonna affect stuff. If you're renting a U-Haul and stuff like that, I don't know if they're open on holidays, so I didn't want to risk it. I said, yes, you can move in a few days early. I hadn't heard from her since June 26th, me personally, although she called my dad because she had his number and she was like, hey, where are the keys to the house? I'm moving in, I don't have keys. And normally you'd already have paid the damage deposit before you get the keys, but she didn't. My dad had left the key with our neighbor. Him and my mom had went over there to put up the curtains that my mom had washed. So he left the key with the neighbor and he told her, yes, the key is with the neighbor. So then later on that day, he was like, did she pay you the $900 damage deposit? And I said, no. Like, that's why she doesn't have the key yet. And he's like, oh, but she does because I had left it with the neighbor. And I was like, okay, you know what? Just give the person the benefit of the doubt, trust them for once. I'm very untrusting when it comes to stuff like this and like money. I'm just really not trusting with people as far as like money and stuff like this goes. So I was like, why would you give her the key if she hadn't paid the damage deposit? You know, like, but he didn't know. July 2nd comes around and I'm on my way to work. This is at 2:30 in the afternoon and I said, hi Georgina, I hope your move went well. This is just a friendly reminder that the rent is due for July because she had not paid. It's July 2nd and she had moved in a couple days earlier. She said she was getting paid on the 1st. She did not reply to me until July 3rd. The next day. Hi, sorry, I didn't get back to you. It's been a crazy few days. I spoke to your parents yesterday, so the $900 I sent you was part of the rent and you will get the damage deposit from the government. As for the remaining amount of rent, I am on my way to the branch as we speak to find out why I cannot access the last check I deposited. I will message you shortly. I was under the impression that she was working, but she was getting money from the government, which is fine. I mean, there's people that don't work and get money from the government as welfare, whatever. So I was like, okay, you know, like she's getting money every month. It's a consistent form of income. She obviously doesn't work, but the government gives you money every single month. The government is just not gonna miss paying you, you know? So I was just like, okay, just as long as she has a consistent income, this is fine. It's all fine. It's gonna work out. On July 3rd, this is about 2 hours later, she said, I'm still trying to resolve this issue, but I need your address for the damage deposit to be sent to. It wasn't on the lease, which has caused the delay, and the best number to reach you. She has the best number to reach me. She made me send her my address. She made it seem like the government was going to send me the check for the damage deposit, which was super weird. So at this point, this is July 3rd, she had given me $900, I do believe. $900 she sent like on the Friday or something. I said hi, so they're mailing me a check then, and then I gave her my address, which I kind of felt weird about giving a tenant my address, but I was like, okay, whatever. She messaged me back about an hour later and she said, okay, I just left the bank and they won't lift the hold on the check, but it will be released in a few days. I left the bank and I'm heading home, but I will call them with your info. Again, I apologize for the delay in the rent and this will never happen again. I feel terrible and this is a horrible way to start a tenancy. I'll keep in touch daily to update you. I said, sounds good. Hopefully it's before Friday. Yeah, I understand. Unfortunately, it was the long weekend. It was Canada Day. I get it. The bank is gonna hold checks sometimes regardless or whatever. My mom had told her when we did the walkthrough that you need to call the electric company and the gas company and get your name switched for the 1st of July. And I think my mom had called the electric company and they said, no, it's still under your name. Nobody has switched over. So I guess my dad had messaged her and was like, where is the rent money? Where is the, why didn't you change the electricity over, blah, blah, blah. So Georgina messages me and she's like, your dad is very upset. I set up the gas and electricity online. I think something went wrong. I feel terrible. And I told him I'll add it to the rent in August. You know, like for the electric and gas bill, like the 3 days that they had moved in, even though it was more than 3 days, because like I said, I let them move in a little bit early. So it had been longer than 3 days, but this was July 3rd. And she's like, let me add the 3 days of electric and gas to the August rent, which she didn't, but she said she would. So in a nutshell, so far, it's 3 days, technically 3 days into her tenancy, even though she's lived there a little bit longer, she still has not transferred the utilities, the electric and gas, over to her account. So my mom was paying for it, and she still had not paid the rent. She paid $900, and that's it so far. No damage deposit, no other portion of the rent. So it was just kind of like, okay, already like 3 days in and we're already having problems. I don't see this going very well. So on July 4th, she messages me. Keep in mind all the stuff I just told you. She did not pay the damage deposit or the full amount of rent. She paid $900, and she messages me saying, hey, just to let you know, I've never received a mail key, and the compost for the house is missing. So I said, okay, I'll find out about the mail key. I didn't have a copy of the mail key, my mom did. So it was on her key ring. I think my dad was still messaging her about paying the rent or something like that, because her next message was that my dad was giving her anxiety. I basically said, you can deal with me from now on. You don't need to talk to him. You can block him if you want. You can deal straight up with me. So in our lease, I had stated that any late payments, she would have to pay $50 extra on top of the rent, like when she was able to pay it. At this point, my mom was already pissed off, but I was trying to be a little bit understanding. I'm a Libra, my mom is an Aries. My mom is a little bit hot-headed, so I'm a little bit more balanced and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, I get it. You know, it was a holiday, you're trying to get your checks cashed, whatever. So I messaged her and I said, I won't be charging you $50 for the late fee for this month, because I do believe you. It is in the second page of the lease, but I'm really hoping that this won't happen again. I will have to charge you a late fee the next time this happens, but I do understand your check situation this time because of the holiday. Georgina messages me and says, I promise I'm doing my best to get it. I hope you will receive the damage deposit before then as well. I'm very sorry. Please don't hold it against me. My children love this house and I'm so sorry. Still, it shouldn't have happened. I really don't mind paying the late fee. It is my fault. And I said, okay, do you know when they are supposed to send me the damage deposit? I do understand, and honestly, just block my dad's number if you're being bothered by him. And on July 5th, she sent me $200. So that's not even the price of the damage deposit. That's still not the full amount of rent. At this point, she sent me $1,100. The rent is $1,500. So she's missing $400 plus the $900 damage deposit. She said they released a small check and I'm sending it to you, $200. I'm hoping that the big one will be released soon. This was July 5th. July 9th comes along. Georgina messages me and asks me, have I received the damage deposit? She said, I will have the rest of the rent tomorrow. She said she feels bad, all that stuff. You guys, this is July 9th already. This is way more than a check hold by this point. This is more than a couple business days. This is already almost the middle of July and you still haven't paid the rent in full or the damage deposit. And then on July 10th, she messages me, this is at midnight, and she said that she is going to the government agency at 10 o'clock in the morning to make sure they sent the damage deposit. July 10th comes along. She didn't really update me on anything like that. I said, hey Georgina, I'm just on my break at work. I called my mom who attempted to call you, but she isn't getting a reply, and that is just a very consistent thing that was going on. She just wasn't replying. She wasn't answering calls or anything like that. And I was like, and the damage deposit hasn't come yet, ... And she messages me back and she said that she's still at the government agency. So she's been there from 10 o'clock in the morning, and she messages me at 5:39 in the afternoon and said she's still there. If you guys know anything about any type of government agency, their hours are usually 8 to 4 for the most part. I don't know any government agency that's open until 6 o'clock p.m. But she tells me that she's been there all day long. And she said, yes, they're giving her both the damage and the $400. And she's like, I told them that you will evict us if we don't get it, and her name is this, and she will call you if you would like. I'm pretty sure I said yes, have her call me, but she never did because this probably didn't happen. July 10th at 8 p.m. she said, I'm so sorry, I don't know what else to say. I'm not this type of person. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong. I have reached out to every agency out there, used the food bank, reached out to my church. It's been horrible. I have anxiety. blah, 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 and I don't want your dad upset with me. She messages me the next morning and she said she's waiting for the social worker to call her, and she's picking up the damage deposit at 1:30 and her money will be released on the 11th. So she said, would you like me to email you the damage deposit or do you want to pick it up? And I'm also going to pay the late fee. I'm picking up the damage deposit today at 1:30 and my money was released last night. I will also need a receipt for the damage deposit. I'm also willing to pay the $50 for being late. Please bring the receipt for the damage deposit. Again, I'm so sorry we got off on the wrong foot. I'm pretty sure on this day, the 11th, I had gone over to her house to pick up the rent as well as the damage deposit, and my dad sent her kind of a rude message, which I had already explained to her to block him, but she didn't. She just ignored me. I gave her the mail key on July 20th. And then August 1st rolls around and the problems just continue. So I messaged her at 1:28 in the afternoon on August 1st, and usually, you know, if it's like payment day, usually most people pay like a day beforehand or like by noon on the day of, like on the day of the 1st. But it was August 1st. I said, hey Georgina, I was just wondering if you were e-transferring me the rent or do you want me to pick it up? Thanks. She messages me back. I'm waiting for Maurice to get home and I think he is depositing it. And I said, okay, because I needed to pay the mortgage. It's due today because we are still paying a mortgage on that house. It's not just like a rental property where we're keeping the money for ourselves. It was to pay that house. So by this point, it's August 3rd and I'm just like, hey Georgina, so we will pick up the rent money plus the late fee today at 5 p.m. And she said, I'm not home, call Maurice. Also, what page does it say that we have to pay a $50 late fee? And I said, it's under the lease, under the fees. And she's like, what page? Because I've talked to a few lawyers and they said they've never heard of that. I'm pretty sure every landlord is entitled to a late fee if their tenant keeps paying the rent like after it's due. I'm pretty sure everywhere charges a late fee, not just me. And I'm pretty sure that it's more than $50 for some places. So I said, it's either on page 2 or 3. We need to talk to you. We will be there around 5. And she said, we won't be there, sorry. Maurice is calling you now. So I'm pretty sure Maurice called me and said something about that his employer was unable to pay him, blah, blah, blah. It was just a bunch of excuses. So he did call me and apologize for it and all of this stuff. So on August 6th, they had sent the rent, not the late fee, just the rent. So she told me she sent the rent and I said I got it. And I'm like, since it's 6 days late, I will have to charge you a late fee. And she said she will send it right now. So she actually basically canceled the late fee as soon as she sent it. And I confronted her and I say that I cannot accept it because it says that you canceled it. And this is August 8th now. She has not messaged me back. And I said, hi Georgina, I don't know if you saw my message or not, but I'm not able to accept the late fee because it says that it has been canceled by you. Please send it again at your earliest convenience. I will also provide you paper copies of all the receipts. Thanks. And she said, no problem. I'm not sure why it says that it's been canceled. And she's like, you must have put in the wrong password. I didn't. It just says canceled by sender. So I sent her a screenshot. She also said, I'm in the hospital right now. And I was like, it doesn't give me the password option and it says it has been canceled by you, which it should have went back into your account right away. So you should have no problem sending it because once you cancel an e-transfer, where does it go, you guys? It goes back to your account. She said, I'm just giving you a heads up. Maurice is in the hospital. He's having surgery right now. She just went off on like his injuries and all of this stuff. I did somewhat believe her because it's kind of believable, but at the same time, I'm just like, you made so many excuses about everything. Why the hell should I believe you? But why are you telling me this? It was because my mom wanted to go there and fix something under the sink because there was a pipe that had broken or something like that and there had been water leaking and she hadn't mentioned it to us until I think until we came there to pick up the check or something like that. I don't know. But My mom had wanted to come there and repair that, and she basically said no because they're not home, they're in the hospital. We're gonna skip a few days because this just keeps going. And on August 21st, I messaged her and I'm like, hi, I'm just following up about the late fee. And she's like, I will send it right now. Thank you for the reminder. So she sends it to me on August 21st. And I said, I got it, thank you. By the way, I will have to charge you a pet fee as well. It won't be as much as other places, but it will be $50 per cat, and I will pay and I will provide the receipts. Okay, so when I went to drop off the mail key, she had told me she had 1 cat. And when I went to drop off the mail key, there was, I think, 3. And then when my mom went to fix the pipe under the sink, she saw another 2 more that were different from the ones we had seen previously. So she had a ton of cats. In the lease, it stated that she was only allowed to have 1 pet, and she had mentioned that she only had 1 cat. Nothing against cats or anything, but they literally scratch everything up. You know, they scratch up carpet, they scratch up your window, not your window, but your screens in your windows and stuff like that. So I didn't give her permission to bring so many pets in the house, but she did have all of these pets. She messages me and says, sure, but with his accident, it will result in a loss of wage and I will not be able to afford it this month. I'm also going to call the landlord and tenant board to make sure this is legal. Okay, I understand. Just sending you a pic of the part of the lease where it says regarding pets from the landlord and tenant side of Alberta, and I'm also going to give you the contact information if you want to call them. August 22nd rolled along. She said, like I said, I'm going to check with them. Thank you for the picture. Did you see the part where I did check off? I have cats. I am not fighting with you on this. I'm just protecting my family. I had already agreed to pay you a while ago. I'm just looking into it because I need to make sure of the legalities of it. So the next part of this is basically screenshots that I was sent from Maurice when they were trying to justify why the rent was late in August, and he was sending me pictures of a conversation between him and his coworker, him and his boss or something like that, and he was asking when he was getting paid, and they had said that his family got into a big car accident and stuff. Doesn't that sound like a catfish to you? Doesn't that sound like a catfish? Have you guys watched Catfish on MTV? You know how whenever there's an excuse to be had, it's always, I got into a car accident, or I'm in the hospital, or something like that. This is exactly what happened. This is the excuses that they were giving me. So he wasn't able to get paid from his employer because their family had gotten into a car accident and someone had died. So I have screenshots of what he sent me. There's a screenshot in here that says, I don't give an F about your landlord. We will pay you when we pay you, blah, blah, blah. Moving on to September. This is going on the 3rd month of the late payments and everything like that. September 1st rolls along. He said, I will be sending you the rental payment after lunch. I'm just waiting on Maurice's boss to send him the money that he owes him. So by 4 p.m., she sends me $860. So again, a partial payment. And she said, I will send you the rest tonight. He only brought this much, and this is what I gave you. This is when I have a discussion with my friend who works in a legal office, and I'm like, what do I even say to her now? This is going on month 3. I don't know what to do. This keeps happening. And she said, you should say this. So this is what I sent her. Okay, so I understand that things don't always go according to plan, but with accordance to the lease that we sign, rent is due on the 1st of every month. If you cannot make that work, then you need to be including the $50 late fee. You seem to be having difficulty being able to collect rent every month. As previously discussed over the phone, the offer to break the lease and move out still stands without penalty if done amicably. Oh my god. We still do the walkthrough to make sure there's no damage done to the property, but this would be the best option. I don't want to have to serve you with a notice. To vacate the premises, but I will do if I have to. There has been too many breaches of the lease by this point. So when Maurice did call me, I had mentioned to him that I was able to break their lease because there was just I could see this happening every month, and I just didn't want to deal with having to chase a tenant every month for the rent and having to make sure that they're paying for it, having to make sure that they pay for the late fee. It's just really exhausting when you add like having a full-time job on top of that. Having to deal with that on top of everything else that I was dealing with. I'm pretty sure this was the year that my dog was really sick also. So I was just not in a place to be messed with. I just didn't want this added burden on my plate every month, having to chase them down. So I basically told him that you can break the lease. I will not charge you anything to break the lease. Just find a new place. We will do the walkthrough as usual and you can move out. They basically declined my offer. She messages me back and she said, no, I'm still paying the rent and I'm not breaking the lease. Things happen. He had an accident. So yes, we are struggling. Temporarily, he is still owed $1,500 from one job and $900 from his other one. You can come and check the house with proper notice anytime you want. I didn't go through with the lawsuit against your father, but it was my right to do so. Please allow me to once again stay. I'm sorry we haven't paid it in full. I paid $860. I have $400 here now. I'll have $200 by Wednesday at the latest, plus the $50 late fee. People struggle. At times we are doing the best we can. Not all of us are born with a silver spoon in our mouth. When I was a kid, my parents were struggling. Like, we were poor AF. Poor AF. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. I had to work for everything that I have. So hard work can get you a lot of things. You know, if you're depending on your spouse to work for you, yes, if you have some kind of injury and you're unable to work, this coronavirus now, so I get that people are not able to work. This has nothing to do with coronavirus because that didn't even exist at this point in time. If you do want to better yourself and to better your life, you work for it. You don't depend on the government to give you money, okay? Like, I get that people cannot work. I understand that. But she had every opportunity. She could, you know, start a business, do at-home stuff, modified work, anything it takes to support your family, you just do it, okay? So no, I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth. My parents struggled. I had barely anything as a kid and I worked for everything I have. So I was just really offended by that comment. I just thought I would throw that out there. So she said, I'll email you the remainder next week with the $50. God bless. She said, I also looked into it. It's not a breach of the lease if I'm paying for it. As you guys can imagine, this went on for a while. So October came along and my mom had filed this at the Landlord and Tenant Association to have them evicted, because you have to do like basically a court appearance or court over the phone before you can evict somebody. It's the law here where I live in Alberta that you can't just kick somebody out. You can't just send the police to their house and have them kicked out or anything like that. You have to go through the court system. So we started the process in October, but they had started paying the rent on time. So I think she paid the rent on time for 2 months consecutively for October and November. Starting December, it was the same again. You know, Georgina isn't home because her dad passed away and I don't have money to pay you. I don't have work right now. I'm trying to find a job, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, they would eventually come up with the money in like the middle part of the month, but it was consistently late. December, January, February, March. April was like literally the last straw for us because they didn't pay the rent until April 26th. That was due on the 1st of April. You guys, the 1st of April, the rent was due and they didn't pay until the 26th. So we finally just was like, okay, let's file this claim again, because when they did pay the rent consistently for the 2 months in a row, the October and November, I was like, maybe this is not a good idea. I had to get all this evidence, print it all, make 3 copies, and serve her with these papers. Here's the papers, here's all the stuff that you did wrong, and you have to show up in court on this day and this time, blah, blah, blah. So I had given her the benefit of the doubt for the 2 months. I was like, okay, maybe this is getting better. And we had just canceled it. We had called the Landlord and Tenant Association and we were like, can we cancel this claim? And they were like, why? Like, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, yeah, like, I don't want to go to court. I was dealing with the death of my uncle too at this point in time, and I just didn't want any added stress in my life. Libras, oh my god, I'm gonna be doing a whole zodiac video, but I feel like Libras try to avoid conflict at all times, and when we are put into a situation where we have to deal with conflict, we just kind of like climb up and we just don't want to deal with it. So I just didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want this added thing in my life, this like rain cloud, if you guys will. Like, I just didn't want that. So I said no, because they started paying it on time. Although then what happened after is I ended up getting burned. So yeah, April 26th rolls along. They finally pay the rent for April 1st. It's super, super late. And it was consistent. Like, I have text messages from February. It says, hey, so it's the 15th now. Do you have the rest of the rent plus the late fee? It was just getting late. It was just getting later and later and later. So by April 26th, this is 2019 now, we were like, okay, we're gonna go to landlord and tenant court again. We're gonna file this claim again. We have more than enough evidence to get them kicked out. They did not ever pay me the fee for her animals that were not even allowed to be there. So we filed the claim. They didn't have any court dates until June because they were just super swamped. I guess a lot of people were kicking out their tenants during that point in time. We were not allowed to go in the house even if we gave a 24-hour notice to drop something off or to fix something. They would just not let us in their home at all. May came along, they didn't pay their rent because, like I said, they paid April's rent at the end of April. May 1st came along, there was no rent money to be had. June 1st came along, there was no rent money to be had. And this was nearing the end of their lease that we had the court appearance, which was June 15th. Same day that I had filed this to landlord and tenant court, I had gone to her house to give her a paper that basically said that we are not renewing your lease. And then I had to file the papers and stuff like that, serve her with them. And every time I would go to her house to serve her, she would not answer the door. She would just pretend that she wasn't there. I had contacted the police at one point because I wanted the cops there when I served her the papers because I just didn't feel safe. And she wouldn't answer the door. Eventually, we were able to serve her with the papers. I think you have to try at least for 5 consecutive times. Take a picture if you are like going there. Just have evidence to prove that you actually rang the doorbell and stuff. So I would record it every time I would come to the door. Finally, Maurice answers the door on like the 4th time. And I would go at different times of the day. I would go in the morning after work. I would go, you know, in the mid-afternoon. I would go around noon, around lunchtime. I had witnesses with me and we had a court date set. The court date had to go over the phone because they were just so swamped with people doing landlord and tenant court that we had to do this over the phone. She was just really upset with me and she tried to make herself look like the victim, of course. The judge ultimately ruled in my favor. Did not pay the rent for 2 months by this point. She had paid late every month through this whole entire lease except for 2 months. She had pets that weren't allowed there. We saw that like the screen on the front window was like broken. The curtains were like shredded. So the judge ruled that she would have to pay me like $3,000 in back rent plus the court fee. I had reached out to her when I knew that they were moving out that weekend or something like that, and I was like, can we do the walkthrough of the place? She said no, because I'm not available right now. We're busy moving. We will contact you when it's of our convenience to do a walkthrough. She never did. I had left the front door open with the keys on the countertop, and I think we went there on July 1st. So we gave it a couple days. I tried reaching out to her. She didn't ever reply to me. She never paid me, by the way. It's been a whole year almost, and I still haven't gotten paid. And they completely destroyed everything. If you guys want to see the house tour, I feel like you guys should. If you're still watching this video, I feel like you guys should watch that house tour because damn, like, it was bad. It was bad. There was cat poop all over the basement. They broke the dryer. They tried to break the washing machine, but my friend fixed it. They destroyed the dishwasher, which again was $1,500 dishwasher. And yeah, the damage deposit was nowhere near enough. It was $900. It was nowhere near enough to fix the amount of damage in there and to pay for the cleaning and everything. It was too much. There was holes punched into the walls. There was garbage all throughout the house. It was so dirty. There was damage to the carpet. There was only carpet on one section of that house, which is on the stairs. There was damage to the carpet on the stairs. There was damage to all of like the window furnishings. There were cigarette what is it called? Cigarette marks in the floor. Like, so we had hardwood floor upstairs, and it's a really nice hardwood floor. Like, it's a beautiful floor, and there were like cigarette burn marks all over that. The bathrooms were absolutely filthy. They tried to plug up the toilets so they wouldn't flush anymore. They just completely trashed and destroyed that place. And I just, like I said, I had to collect my emotions to be able to film this video. So much had happened in that year that is just crazy to me. Like, it's crazy. I hope I had gone through as much as I could. I do hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm sorry it was super long, but it is what it is. It is a story time, and it took place over a year. I had text messages that I wanted to read and go through and all of that stuff. Georgina and Maurice, I really hope you guys got your karma. I really wholeheartedly hope this came back to you. You guys made it seem like I was this horrible person, that I owed you something, even though you didn't even pay your rent on time ever, except for the 2 months you did. Destroy the house, you refused to pay me. I really hope that karma just bites you in the ass, because you deserve it. I'll see you guys soon in my next one. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button below. I upload 3 times a week, Sunday, Wednesday, and Friday, and I will see you guys soon in my next video. Bye everyone.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely on our side.